Hello again, everyone. I am Gary Gatto. Welcome back to Race First coverage of the ISRA, this time for round one of the inaugural season of the ISRA Xfinity Series. As we come to you from, well, where we last left off when we had the trucks here at California Speedway. Joining me in the booth this season as well, he's former iRacing Indy Fixed Series champion. Going to have a month full of May here, really full, as he attempts to get his big Indy 500 win that he's been truly, deeply seeking, is Mark Murphy. Mark, we're in a different car. I only have a handful of starts in these things. You might just have a few more than me. What's these Xfinity cars like? I know they're very popular on the surface, though.
This is as far up as I made it in stock cars. I actually never have raced the Cup car. I decided to transition to real race cars after this one, but I can say this: the Xfinity car is very popular because it is by far the most racer of the stock cars. The Cup car, very much a GT3 alike. This car is still a proper stock car, still a proper oval car, and it behaves as such. It's very, very loose. It's going to wear the tires out here. With 3 sets in the pits and a 100 lapper, these guys are really going to have to manage their pit strategy on tires. That's going to be something fun, and they're also really close together. Less than a second separated everybody in practice, and so I'm looking forward to that. But really, it's going to be a story about tires today, I think, Gary. This car gets extremely loose on corner exit here. It can be kind of plowy going in. It's loose coming off. Air moves it around. We're going to see the draft come into play. I'm excited. This should be a lot of fun.
Oh, Sam Crow. We were just watching him. 2P2.
Yeah. But we're going to see some fun stuff, especially from a bunch of IndyCar drivers. Right? They're going to. I fully expect to see at least one car backwards coming off of turn 2 by the end of the day.
Well, I do think that Rigney has done a little bit of. I say Rigney, that's the host with the most. That is our admin here at the ISRA. He has recruited a good number of stock car based drivers on top of kind of the regular suspects that formerly were in Lionheart. Of course, Lionheart taking the sabbatical this year. Hopefully to be back in 2025, but giving these Lionheart guys something to do. So I would say this field is probably 75-25, still Lionheart focused, but there are some guys in here that are going to be stock car focused. Michael Goodman, he is one of those. We also got who else on there? Say hey, Lewis Hayes. He's going to be one of those as well. So we'll recognize and identify those further as we get into this race. Of course, we're going to have to learn all these liveries one more time. But you can rest assured Matt Wagner is going to end up in a Penske-looking car, and he is currently third on the charts, just going to third, a 181.3. And we got about 40 seconds left to play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars have yet to qualify. And we'll see if those guys choose to go or not. Drew Trader, watching him right now, he's one of the new drivers in the series. He goes to 11th, or stays 11th. Trader to 1. That took a long time to update. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to go right to the top, Gary. I believe that should be most everybody that wants to take time.
Jimbo Pfeiffer just took time.
Sexton, Callisto, Gallows, Hearn, and Reagan are the gentlemen that I showed did not go. But a very close field nonetheless. 4/10 from top to bottom here. So good show. Qualifying.
Yeah, let's get in here a starting lineup. Let me cue up the music. Maestro drums, there we go. And as you saw, starting on the pole, Drew Trader. I believe he's one of those stock car drivers, and he just showed everyone that he is. Straight to the pole there, we were watching him, a 181.5. Right next to him, Vern Hawkins. He is one of the IndyCar drivers. He is P2 at a 181.4. Sam Crow, I believe he is also one of the stock car guys. He is 181.3, lining up third. Wagner's an IndyCar guy. If he tries to tell you if he's anything else, he's lying. But he's a P4, 181.3 as well. Rigney's very much an IndyCar guy, but he drives these pretty well, lining up fifth. Rick Fallis, he is 181 flat for P6. Michael Goodman lines up seventh. Mark Cohn lining up eighth. Jimbo Pfeiffer ninth. Pepto Joe 10th with a 180.3. John Von Voorellis, old JV there. He is 11th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes, P12. Ron Hacker, 13th. Lionel Callisto, your Truck Series champion, 14th. Hugo Gallus, 15th. Bradley Sexton, 16th. Chris Reagan, 17th. And I believe we're going to have another driver there. And my overlay never shows that final driver. And I'm not quite sure who that is right now.
That is going to be one Richie Hearn.
Oh, how can we forget about Richie Hearn? I forgot about Richie Hearn.
He's been running a lot of stock car stuff. He's been joining them over on Wednesdays in the ERL on the Cup side. So good to see Richie still having fun. You can tell he's enjoying doing the stock car thing, as are I think Wagner, Rigney, Mark the Watchman. He's going to line up eighth. I had a heck of a good time with Wags and Mark the Watchman at Milwaukee last night until I hit the kill switch and coming on a pit lane and torpedoed my effort.
We were wondering what happened there on the replay or on the broadcast. We're like, why is Mark looking like that? Neither one of us had an answer.
I pulled into pit lane, turned left to go into my box, and my thumb hit the kill switch, and that was all she wrote. So I think I did set the fastest lap.
You did.
There might have been some red mist in the helmet of the Race First American there toward the end of that race at Milwaukee, because I was quick and I was mad. It happens. I'd rather it happen at Milwaukee than at Indy in about a month. So
speaking of Indy and speaking of Richie Hearn, hopefully Richie has not lost his feel for the IR18. He will be qualifying for the ERLs, the Elite Racing League, which you're a part of as well. Their upcoming Indy 500 on Thursday. And right now there's 63 confirmed entries that are going to make an attempt at qualifying, and I think there's like 3 or 4 more that are on the wait list just in case someone else can't make it. So huge field turning out for the ERLs upcoming Indy 500 qualifications this Thursday. I will be on that broadcast. That will be on ERN, the Elite Racing Network, at 8 p.m. Eastern. Check them out. We'll be up in the booth for that and the Indy 500 here in 2 weeks.
I will not be in the booth during qualifications. I will be sweating it out on pit road, and that's the thing, and most of these guys, IndyCar guys, when you talk about Indy 500s, there's always the big one, the iRacing Indy 500. But then once you get past that, there's really only 2 private ones that matter, right? You've got the Open Wheels 500 for the open setup guys, and you've got the Elite 500 for the fixed guys. And 63 entries speaks to Chad and his league. There are always half dozen or more guys that from real world IndyCar. You can have Tony Kanaan try to make that race. You mentioned Richie, Oliver Askew, RC Anderson. We've had guys like Sebastian Saavedra and Santino Ferrucci not make it. We had Kyle Busch make the show and acquit himself very well about 3 years ago. So, but that's just making that race is not easy, let alone win it. So we'll hope to put the race first car in the show and fall in 500 miles and see where we're at. Warm up is over, Gary.
Yeah,
and so we're gonna see these guys line them up.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of Indy 500s that get run at this time of year, definitely the ERL's one of them. The Open Wheels, they are not running theirs now, but they'll run theirs, I think, later in the year. Then
usually around Labor Day.
Yeah, and normally, and again, Lionheart normally has their Indy 500 for their league. That's normally pretty prestigious, as well as we already know how competitive Lionheart is.
Sure.
Also, you could probably include in that group, in terms of really competitive Indy 500s, the Elite IndyCar Series, another one of the other series that borrows the Elite name, EIS, which you will be in that one, which you will be in as well. And yep. I think that the next two in order is probably the official Indy 500 Open Top Split. So that's probably your top 5 right there. And if you want to put a sixth one in there, I would also then include the fixed Indy 500 top split. And in terms of being a prestigious one and getting eyes on it, I would dare say that even the IIS Indy 500, which is not a 500 this year, it's a 500K, is right there on the prestigious level, just based upon the number of eyes and non-regular participants that also participate. And when I say non-regular, I'm talking about your iRacing drivers that only show up for the official races and only participate in the IIS. That's the only time they would do an Indy 500 practically, and that was so. I think those would be the top 7 or so Indy 500 races if we're kind of ranking them, not in any particular order, but I think definitely the top 7. Let me think a little bit more. I can probably come up with 10, but right now I can definitely come up with 7.
I'm going to tell you this. I will be absolutely sick of turning left at Indianapolis by June 1. I will be done with it. Especially, like I said, you're going up against 63 guys that can all make the show on Thursday. You're going to have to sit on the hot stove and sweat ice water.
Wagner says he's a stock car guy, by the way.
Wagner says a lot of things. I was in Discord with him and Mark the Watchman last night, and I guarantee you
here we go, green flag in the air.
We're going green. Speaking of those races, I just got a text from Joe Branch reminding me that we had 3 nights left to qualify. So, or on night 3. So we've still got 2 more nights of qualifying. The 12 car well off the pace on the.
I think he started from pit road.
Yep.
Oh, so car loose down low. That looks like that might have been Sam Crow. I think a couple guys started from pit road. They weren't really sure what to do. There is Jimbo Pfeiffer, Pepto Joe, and Wagner all started from pit road. But Wagner, unfortunately, doesn't have really a racing buddy. He needs to catch that pack in front of him, as Pepto Joe and Pfeiffer look like they are going to work together. So strategy already unfolding here on lap 1 of the first race of round 1 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Xfinity Series.
Yes, they are. Now, the top 3 have kind of broken away a little bit. That's the top 3 have kind of broken away a little bit. That's Hawkins, Trader, and Mark the Watchman. 1, 2, 3, and then you got a nice kind of a spread back, and then you got a whole wad of cars led by. You got a whole wad of cars that are being led right now by Michael Goodman, Rick Follis up there. You got Chris Reagan. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is in that mess. So Sam Crow.
Chris Reagan is up 10 spots in that Days of Thunder livery.
Yes, he is. Good to see that. Lionel Callisto, very, very kind of slowly picking his way to the front. Hyper competitive in the trucks.
Yeah, you're champion in the trucks.
Yeah, will Xfinity be the same for Lionel Callisto? Very quick with a roof, but he's come from. Golly, where did he start?
He's up 2 spots because he was in the kind of. But there's also there's a lot more cars in the back than what started because of those started on pit road. So he's only up 2 spots, but he is on the verge of the top 10 as 3 cars started on pit road once we took the green flag. So that kind of artificially moved him up a couple spots.
Speaking of such, how about Richie Hearn? He started shotgun on this thing, and he is 9th. So
yeah, I believe he and Reagan are teammates. Or at least they do some cooperative racing here in the ISRA, and they have kind of followed each other right up through the field. I do like Chris Reagan. I would have gone if I was in this thing. I was telling you about my my Xfinity livery that I have, and I'll still run it. But if I was in this series, and if I didn't have my regular Xfinity livery, which it's a Formula One livery on an Xfinity car. I always give people grief about putting Formula One liveries on an Indy car, but anyways, I would choose one of those Days of Thunders, or kind of like what you do on the IndyCar with a Stroker Ace and his livery. When you got the chicken pit there.
Yeah, and that's always fun. It's always good to see. It's always good to see some of the guys and their creativity.
Wagner has caught the back of that group, by the way.
Yeah, the City Chevrolet car always a fun one. My sim just froze, so I am without. But
hopefully that's not an issue going on with the service right now. So you go ahead and reboot if you have to, or go ahead and restart if you have to, and we'll be here.
We'll do the old Control Alt Delete, and I will get right back in. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Hawkins, Cone, and Trader, your top three. Mike Rigney has really started to close that gap. Well, now Trader's gotten by him, but those guys have really started to close that gap up a little bit, Gary.
Yeah, Rigney's decided to go with the plain white wrapper, as he has virtually no sponsorship on the side of that car.
You know, it's the Hesketh look, right? It's the Hesketh look. Now, if he showed up with the Penthouse sponsorship, would we be surprised? Probably, maybe not. What? No, come on, Hesketh, Penthouse.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I know. That was back in the day when when everything was sponsored either by a tobacco company or a alcoholic beverage company. Yeah.
That was in the infancy of sponsorships.
Yep.
Of course, the originator of the big time sponsorship was Team McLaren with Yardley Soap.
Ooh. No, there's not a, they got some bad PR done today, so not a lot of people want to talk about Team McLaren.
You know, I get it. It stinks for David Malukas, but I get it. It probably could have been handled better. That's a couple times now that McLaren has put the foot in the old proverbial pile of stuff that I used to dig out of my pasture.
Well, and that begs the question. We're 9 of 100 here. We're not quite sure exactly when they'll pit. We'll figure out what we anticipate at least 2 stops because they got 2 sets of tires still in the pits. The rule set, by the way, before we get into talking about the news of the week, 2-mile oval course, 100 laps, 200 miles, 3 sets of tire, 1 in the car, 2 in the pit, 75% fuel, 1 fast repair, and the pit road speed limit is 55 miles per hour. So in a time when you thought that Team Penske couldn't be any bigger of a heel, and in terms of a wrestling terminology, that I love wrestling. I like to watch wrestling, but I mean, I would say right now, because of that, heels typically tweak the rules, play with the rules. I'm not going to say cheat, but cheat and wrestling. They're the ones that are going to rake the eyes. They're the ones that are going to do the whatever gets the referee to try to do a 5 count to break the hold, whatever. Those are going to be your heels typically. And Penske definitely was playing the heel role and then went out there and went ahead and just stomped the field and won that race anyways. Ooh, 5 wide going through 3 and 4 in that backpack. Very good handling there, guys.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that here. This track is infinitely wide. But yes, in terms of heels, Penske, was the talk of the week, and McLaren managed to erase them.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden McLaren's like, hold my beer, and now McLaren is the chief heel. I mean, I know Penske and all those guys are going to get booed here coming up for the 500 or even the Indy GP. They haven't been booed in a very long time, that Team Penske. I remember back in the 90s when they before they didn't qualify and before the split, they were starting to get booed a lot then because people were just kind of tired of them seeing them always win, and then they kind of fell. They got their comeuppance with the split and, of course, not qualifying that 1 year. And I don't think I've heard a lot of booing at Penske since then. But I expect to hear a lot of booing for Penske. I expect a lot to hear booing for Newgarden. I expect to hear a lot of booing now from McLaren. And the main reason for McLaren is Malukas, A, never got a chance to prove himself, and B, everybody likes the dude.
Yeah, he's a nice kid. And the thing is, I mean, I get it, right? Like, I get where the team is coming from. You know, as you know, and as probably most of the viewers that are watching this know, I had a catastrophic hand injury a couple of years ago that was did significant damage. And sometimes when you do that, it takes a long time to come back, and it may never come all the way back. And so, you know, it's a business. You know, they've got, you know, Callum Ilott sitting on the shelf, who is more than capable of wheeling that car.
And, well, Teo Pacher is also there. I don't know if he's got to take the rookie test and all that if he wants to run the oval. Ilott will have to take the refresh. Yeah, I think he will have to take the refresher.
But you see what I'm saying? I mean, they've got two very capable guys.
And I think TK is going to be a reserve driver for Larson, excuse me. It's that NASCAR guy. Still that NASCAR guy. But yeah, they got him, and the only way he would get into the car, because they can't have, I guess IndyCar now says you can't yank a driver out on pit road and put a new driver in now, is if there is such a rain delay and it delays the 500 insofar as that Kyle needs to leave to go to the 600 before the green flag even drops for Indy, then TK can get behind the wheel.
So we're not going to see a repeat of Robbie Gordon's situation where he actually got out in the race. I can't remember who finished that one, but that did develop for Robbie Gordon. We're kind of, in this race, though, we're kind of spread out.
Yes.
The cars have also slowed way down. So fastest lap of the race, Mike Rigney, 39.703. The leaders are now in the 41s. To no surprise, Lionel Callisto is currently the fastest machine on the speedway. Him and Matty Wagner and Chris Reagan are the only three cars still in the 42nd bracket. And so they're a couple of tenths quicker than everybody else, saving tires. And you mentioned fuel. If memory serves, and it's been a while, so I'm a little bit rusty. If memory serves, you can go 45, 50 laps on a full tank, so we should expect them anywhere between 35 and 40.
About halfway through a run now, yeah.
Yeah, so we're about halfway through. But remember, fans, only 2 sets in the pit lane. And so the strategy here has to be run it dead, because you're going to want the fresh tires.
Yeah, I would go as long as you absolutely can go on this first stint, making the second stint that much shorter for that next set of tires. And if you have to go to a third stop, I mean, you're kind of hosed, because you're not gonna have, or a fourth stop, excuse me, you're not gonna have any tires. So this first one and second one, but the second one should get you home, but we'll see.
We'll see, and we've got Lionel Callisto going inside of Richie Hearn.
Oh, Pepto Joe says he's out of the race. And there he is on pit road, looking on his over his hood there. It says, out of the race, throttle stuck wide open.
So that is not good. These cars, as much as it looks easy, these cars are not wide open. You're rolling completely out of the throttle in the turn one, and you're actually using some brake as you get in there. You want to use some rear brake to kind of set the car up to make it corner. You don't want to use front brake. You want rear brake to kind of set the car up and let it bite. Stuck throttle here is no good. Daytona might work, but California not so much. So bad luck for Pepto Joe, out of the race. Stuck throttle, mechanical failure. They are going by Richie Hearn now. Next car in line is going to be Chris Reagan.
And here is Lewis Hayes in a battle with Cone. Cone's dropped back a little bit. Hayes going to the apron to try to give himself a little room away from Cone. You can side draft in these things. I'm not a big expert in it, but he was giving himself some room, so he wasn't going to be exploited there. But say hey, Lewis Hayes up to 7th. Now there's Callisto on the outside. Look at that momentum on the high side. Here, Hayes or Callisto going to low to the bottom side here on Cone, trying to get him going into 3. Move Wagner, or move Callisto now up his now 8 spots up to 6th.
Comers and goers, Gary. Comers and goers. And California is always going to be a race of that because of the way the tires wear.
Ooh, Reagan. Chris Reagan was squirrely off of 4, but he has it back on the way. I'm sure these tires are well worn.
They are. But we're seeing Wagner. We're seeing 39 going high. Richie Hearn, 19. Chris Reagan. Is that Reagan in the 19? Who's in the 19? Help me out, Gary.
That's Chris Reagan right there. That's in the Days of Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah. So, different thoughts on how to do this. I prefer to use the high side.
Oh, he got a good run.
No, there's 3 wide. There's 3 wide.
Cone did not have a good exit off of 4, excuse me, and he kind of got freight trained on the top and the bottom at the same time.
Well, he came off there and he got loose coming off and he was pedaling it, and he thankfully was in the middle groove because he about got run over. But I'm watching specific guys now. Matt Wagner, Richie Hearn, kind of.
Richie's blinking. Oh no!
Get the cat away from the Ethernet cord. But we're kind of seeing comers and goers, which is what I love about racetracks like this. We see it in the Indy cars, right? Guys burn up their stuff. They go to the front. They go to the back. That's what's happening. We saw Matt Wagner and that crew fall all the way back to 11th, 12th, 13th. 11th, 12th, 13th earlier. Now they're making a run up toward the front. And they're the fastest cars on the track, right? You had Sam Crow, I believe, sat on the pole. No, Drew Trader sat on the pole.
Drew Trader, and he's been up there all day. And Vern puts a little bit of a block on Drew as Drew tries to pass on the low side, and he kept moving. Otherwise, he was going to turn Hawkins a little bit. Drew kept going down. Now he's underneath him, getting to run down the front stretch.
But he went back to the
bottom.
He started 3rd. He's back to 13th, and he has completely wasted the tires on his car. And so, comers and goers, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of indicative of Cone's style. He might have to adjust his line because Cone loves the bottom, and he was when he was driving the truck, he was definitely using the bottom more often than not. And it might just be that this car does not want to be on the bottom after 23 laps. He might have to move it up. So we'll watch how he adjusts here. He's a good driver. He'll figure it out.
He is. Think about the truck versus the Xfinity car, though. So the truck, much bigger greenhouse, got a lot more drag. It also has a 747 size spoiler on the back of it, and so it's got a lot more drag and a lot more downforce. These cars, smaller greenhouse, very trimmed rear spoiler, not as draggy. They're also hauling off in there about 20 miles an hour faster than a truck does.
That's true.
And if I remember correctly, they use the same tire, and so you're going to see a lot more wear. It's how you run your line that determines whether you wear out the right front or the right rear. The top is going to wear out the rear a little bit more. The bottom is going to wear out the front because you're pinching it. You're using more wheel.
Before we get into pit stops here, we're actually starting now as Vern Hawkins has come to pit road. If you enjoy race first coverage of the ISRA Xfinity Series and respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you're supporting us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you'll miss out on future race first iRacing broadcasts. Vern Hawkins coming right at lap 25, so it looks like he's going to opt to go 25, 50, and 75 as his stops, and then he will use up all his tires. But he's on pit road going for 4 and a full tank of fuel. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, so I can dig it. Split the race almost, I guess, into thirds. I would not stop that early, though. I think that's going to hurt Vern later. He's going to be a rocket. He's going to have a huge lead when the cycle goes through. the flip side, he's going to pay for that at the end of the run, and he's probably going to be a little short on gas too. We're working lap 26 here, coming to get 27, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, nope, you're right. Coming to 26. Leader is Drew Trader, who started from the pole. Rigney up 3 spots. He is now second. Lionel Callisto, there he is. He is up 11 spots now in the third as your Truck Series champion, showing that he can do it here with the cars that don't have a truck bed in them. And Rick Fallis, he started in 6th. He's up 2 spots to 4th.
Yeah. Michael Goodman, great run to 5th. And look here, right? So Matt Wagner, who started up front, went straight to the back like a stone, is now 6th.
Well, Wagner started from pit road, I believe.
Started pit, so he was way back.
Oh yeah. He had the race down the back of the pack, and then he has to race through them. So he's actually kind of racing through the mid pack here. So he's up to 5th.
Rigney to the lead. Rigney to the lead on Drew Trader. And 0.6 of a second quicker on that last lap too, I might add, for the host with the most. Lionel Callisto will be next up, although he's a second and 2/10 back from Trader. I would suspect he will be in very close attendance to Mr. Trader very shortly. Meanwhile,
okay, here comes Trader. Oh, Trader brings it down off the bank. He gets a little squirrely. Now he's trying to slow it down before he gets to the cones. I think he did it. That was a very aggressive pit on maneuver there, and looks like he pulled it off successfully. Now he just needs to roll down to his spot all the way down at the end at pit road. 55-mile-per-hour pit road speed. Feels like you're crawling. Here he comes, getting ready to line up to get into his stall. Needs to hit his spots, can't roll through it. Here we go. He skids in.
No flags on that, Gary, so he's all good. Meanwhile, Matt Wagner has gotten around Rick Fallis, so it's now Rigney, Callisto, and Wagner at the front of the field. Fallis 4th, Reagan 5th, and I suspect 4th is going to change hands here very shortly. This has been a fun wad of cars for me to watch. Just the slicing and dicing and the different tire stuff. Trader now away from pit road.
So yeah, he is not. He did not beat Hawkins out. Hawkins is ahead of him by the entire length of the backstretch.
Yeah, and that's that short pit. You know what I mean? When all this cycles through, Hawkins is going to be leading this race by 3 or 4 seconds probably.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. The issue for Hawkins is going to be at the end, they're going to eat him alive, right? Because they're down now. They're almost Mike Rigney leading this race 41.875, 41.948 that last lap. They are now they are 2 full seconds slower than what they would be on new tires. And so he's just going to get eaten alive. And you see him that's 25 there, just absolutely do Trader, just absolutely driving through the leaders. It looks like a guy running an IndyCar against stock cars, how fast he is.
We're looking on the outside there. Right around Lionel Callisto.
Yeah,
okay, here the stops. Rigney, Callisto, Wagner. No, Rigney, Callisto. I'm trying to get some other cameras here. Chris Reagan on pit road. Who else we got pit road? Richie Hearn on pit road. Bradley Sexton on pit road.
So at 32,
Say Hey is on pit road. Yeah, Gala's on pit road.
So they're all coming. Wagner's going to go one more.
Hacker on pit road.
They're all coming lap 31.
And joining him will be Rick D. He's coming. He will be going another lap. I think both of those guys are coming home this time by. Wagner hot off the speedway. Can he get it slowed down enough? Yes.
He did.
Michael Goodman also very quickly in pit road. Here comes the remainder of those cars that we were talking about. Crow, JV, Pfeiffer. So Hawkins now is on the backstretch all by himself, coming into 3. We're going to see how big of a lead, and you kind of called it. You think it's going to be by a couple seconds. I'm tending to agree.
Several seconds. Wagner hits his marks along with everybody else in attendance with him. Crow, Fallis, Goodman, Pfeiffer on pit road. Right side tires, of course, go first. Then the lefts, they'll fill it up with Sunoco Racing fuel, I believe is what they use in these cars. And down and away they go. Don't speed on pit road, boys. But they get away. Everybody's clean. We're still green. Where is Hawkins? He roars past.
Yeah, Hawkins is on the backstretch. He's getting ready to enter 3 right now, and he's showing 6 seconds over Trader. Trader has slightly fresher tires by about 4 laps, so Trader might still have some good left in those tires to try to run them down, but 6.5 seconds, that's the under right here. Very good, at least strategically looking right now for Hawkins on that early pit.
Now here's the thing. Vern Hawkins is going to need a caution. He basically guarantees he needs a caution. The tire fall off, or the tire cliff, as we call it, you're going to start seeing 41s about halfway through the run, about 14 or so. But he pitted awfully early, lap 24. That's
coming to 25, but he's not racing. He doesn't have any dirty air. He's all by himself. He's punching a hole in the air, so he's going to have not as great mileage as, say, the guys that maybe can draft a little bit. But he's racing by himself, so he's not going to have to deal with any dirty air.
No, he's not, and that's going to save his tires somewhat.
Trader's already clipped it under 6 seconds already.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkins is going to fall back to Drew Trader here in fairly short order. Drew Trader 0.4 of a second lap quicker that time. Rigney is a couple of tenths quicker than Trader. Of course, Rigney stopped 3 laps later. Callisto, a personal best on his last lap.
179.8.
Yeah, so those boys are coming with those new tires. I'm going to be interested to see what the difference is for the guys that stayed out a lap later, right? Obviously, there's a 2-stop and a 3-stop strategy in play here. The 3-stop gained you 6 seconds on the first one.
6.5 at least. 6.5, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so if it stays green, that's not going to be enough. Lap here at 40 seconds. So
Ron Hacker is retired. Sorry to see that. Jimbo Pfeiffer down on the apron coming off of pit road, so he had to come back. I think he might have had to. Did he speed? Say Hey Lewis Hayes was in the same boat. Say Hayes is now down. Say Hey, excuse me, is down 2 laps. Jimbo Pfeiffer down 2 laps. Don't know if we had any pit road penalties there.
That's going to be indicative of speeding.
Looking at their times in the box, 46 seconds for Hayes, 44 seconds for Jimbo. So, yeah, those look like speeding penalties, unfortunately.
Pepto Joe says that he has been done in by a bolt.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. He's done the old AJ Foyt in the pits at the 82-500 treatment, where he's back there banging on his wheels with a hammer and a wrench. Trying to find out what happened, and he found it, so hopefully he can get it fixed.
Pepto Joe, we know how you feel, my man. People don't understand sim racing. You can have mechanical failures like that too. I mean, essentially all of our equipment is one of one. There are no 2 guys that have the same setup, and so mechanical failures are part of it, unfortunately. I've got a bolt that's missing out of the base of my V3s that needs to be replaced, and at some point I'm going to have to do that because my pedals are sliding around a little bit. But just always remember that as you watch these, all of our equipment, one of one. There are no 2 rigs of the same. And so
Callisto blinking.
Yeah, a little bit.
So Hawkins now has been his lead has been narrowed down to now 4 seconds flat.
Yeah, and that's a consistent 0.4 a lap. What Vern Hawkins is hoping for is that he can make it. That he can still have.
He only has another 10 more laps before we expect to see him on pit road again, actually.
Right, but what he's hoping for is that he can maintain some sort of a lead before either that happens or the tires equalize. which I anticipate is going to happen in about another 5 laps or so. We should see Vern Hawkins and Drew Trader level on tires here fairly shortly, about another 5 laps, like I said. But it's the old story, right? Hawkins leading, Trader running him down. Mike Rigney is running down Drew Trader too, and that's something we got to continue to watch.
Yep. Let's reset the field here real quick, and since we've already got through round 1 of pit stops, we'll get the business taken care of, and then we can go through the field, and then by that time, I think second rounds are going to definitely start coming through. But if you're just joining us, this is Race First coverage of the ISRA Xfinity Series coming to you from Fontana. We completed 41 of 100 scheduled laps. If you're enjoying the coverage of tonight's race and would like to monetarily support us, please find a link to our GoFundMe page, our GoFundMe campaign, and the links in the stream's description. We realize times are tough, so any donation, no matter the amount, that's the key thing, no matter the amount, is appreciated. Go through the field here real quick. Currently watching Vern Hawkins. He is P1 and now has a 2.9 second lead over Drew Trader, who started from the pole. This is Drew's first race in the ISRA. We welcome him to the series, the host with the most. Mike Rigney is now up to third, the Truck Series champion. Lionel Callisto up to fourth. Chris Reagan there in the Days of Thunder livery. At P5, Mark Cohn is recovered with his ill-handling car at the end of that first stint, back up to sixth. Rick D here in P7. He was one of the last guys to stop, along with Matt Wagner, who's right behind him in eighth. Bradley Sexton in ninth. Sam Crow in 10th. That is your top 10. Mike Goodman 11th. John Von Voorellis, JV back there in 12th. Hugo Gallas is actually in a livery, not the we normally see him in the standard iRacing livery in the trucks. He is in the Tide ride for Hugo Gallas, so pretty good taste there. I like that ride. Richie Hearn there in the 4D Racewear car. Shout out to the guys at 4D Racewear. Check them out at 4dracewear.com. Richie here in 14th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes, victim of speeding on pit road, unfortunately. Back in 15th, down 2 laps. Jimbo Pfeiffer in much the same way. He is a victim of speeding and down a couple of laps. Ron Hacker had something happen. We didn't see it happen. He is retired. And Pepto Joe lost a bolt on his wheels and had to retire due to a stuck throttle. And that is your field at the moment. And John Von Voorellis, he's in that Dolphins livery. Of course, Dan Marino was a partial owner of a Cup car, and I think his group also extended to Indy cars, at least for a little bit. And they had that Tabasco sponsorship for a couple seasons there. So back up front, 44 of 100 in the books, quickly coming to the halfway point and quickly coming to Hawkins' next pit stop. If he goes by the numbers, he should be pitting here in about 5 laps. He pitted first at 25, and now he is kind of hemorrhaging time to Drew Trader, who is running him down at a pretty good clip. In fact, the last 5-lap average for Vern there is a 41.4 versus Drew Trader, who's at a 41.1. So that's a 0.3 a lap average over 5 laps that he is catching him.
Yeah, he's cutting chunks out of it now. 4/10, 5/10, half a second a lap. Drew Trader quicker. I would anticipate he's going to get there before the scheduled stop for the 3 stop, which would be lap 50. Just a clinic of running a guy down, being put on by Drew Trader. But then you wonder, how much is he using up of his stuff? Because Mike Rigney is catching him at roughly the same rate. And then the other thing is how much, Vern Hawkins has to know that he's kind of on an island with that strategy. And so how much is he saving? You know what I mean? How much is he saving? Drew Trader kind of split the difference, came in at lap 29. But the the two-stop guys are showing this is kind of the way to go here. At least early on. Now, caution still scrambles this whole thing up, of course, but as spread out as they are, Gary, I don't know if we get a caution.
Yeah, that's been kind of typical of the Truck Series. We didn't see very many cautions when we went on the bigger speedways because they were kind of all spread out. Let's listen to Drew as he runs down Vern. Vern went all of a sudden the wall on the corner of exit 2, or corner of turn 2 exit. Gosh, I've been doing too many of these broadcasts here. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Our week preview here in Race First, but he is now 6/10 back to Hawkins. Hawkins, see him feathering that throttle in the third high lane there. Trader's now in his dirty air for sure.
And that works two ways. He's going to get a nice suck down the straightaway. Trader also a line lower, so that's going to hurt his momentum coming off the corner. You're going to see Hawkins gap him a little bit. Hawkins running a much wider arc through 3 and 4. Trader keeping it nice and snug on the bottom. Hawkins kind of drives way down the straightaway, but definitely running him down.
Ooh, Callisto got around. Sorry to cut you off. Callisto gets around Rigney. Now Callisto up to 3rd.
Yeah, and Lionel's coming.
He could drive, and in fact, we're riding on with Lionel right now, and he could drive so much deeper into 1 and 2 than Drew has. I don't know. Drew might be feathering a little bit to try to save some fuel. I don't know that though, but definitely Callisto was driving it deeper into the corner.
Well, could be. Of course, Vern Hawkins not saving anything. There's no point for him to do so really. Lionel Callisto though is right on schedule. Right on schedule, and this is a huge win for him. Rigney, Reagan, Mark the Watchman, to be even now on time with the guy on the alternate strategy. Golly, if you're Vern, you just gotta kind of stay out as long as possible. Lionel blinking a little bit there, but I would expect we're gonna see Lionel Callisto in the lead. Probably lap 55 would be my guess. 54, 55, somewhere around there. If he doesn't glitch out, holy Moses. His quality is down to, Gary, Lionel's quality is down to 92.
Oof.
Starting to come back a little bit now, but that's going to be an issue for Lionel Callisto. Just hope he doesn't.
So there's apparently there's an app that Rafi Eckert and over in the Dark Horse DW12 series and the Vor DW12 series was talking about he uses from Brazil that really helps his lags. And come to think of it, he's kind of one of the few Brazilian drivers that really I've never ever seen him blink or have any type of lags or bad ping time. So if I find out more about this app, I'll probably check it out. But apparently it's a lot of esport gamers use it to make sure that they're always. It's definitely, it sounds like a VPN type app, but it sounds like that the gamers use it to make sure that they're always on the most effectful and impactful networks in order to get the best network speeds. Speaking of speeds, Drew Trader side by side with Vern Hawkins down the backstretch, and right with him Lionel Callisto. And I'm kind of surprised Hawkins has not pitted yet. I thought he would pit here right around 50. Right now he's not in a position where he can pit. He's got cars to his inside. He's gonna have to let him pass if he wants to get down there.
Yeah, and I don't think he will. Honestly, I think he's gonna have to take his medicine here and go as long as he can.
Ooh, he just cuts right down, does the old Brazilian clear on Drew Trader. I don't think Drew Trader is very familiar with the Brazilian clear, but Vern Hawkins has driven Indy cars before. He's familiar with the Brazilian clear.
He can Brazilian clear all he wants. Lionel Callisto is gonna fire it right up the inside and pass them both here going into turn 3. Had it lined up perfect. Hawkins gets a little bit loose. Trader tries to cover Hawkins. And good night, sweetheart. Lionel Callisto is your new leader coming off of turn 4 at California. Drew Trader trying to fight back on the outside, but I don't think he's got enough stick 'em left in those good years. I think Trader's going to lead over the line here, but that's just a matter of time now.
Ooh, Hawkins all over the back bumper of Callisto there. A little bump drafting going on. That's something that us IndyCar drivers are not very comfortable with, either getting bump drafted or doing the bump drafting.
I remember Chad Frankenfield one time tried to bump draft me in a Formula Renault 3.5 car at Indianapolis. Did not end well. And I stayed mad at him for about 6 months because I think I was leading that race when he did that. Anyway, poor old Vern Hawkins. He's going to have to pit here in not too much longer.
Well, it's not like he's going to be low on fuel. He did stop early, so maybe he's going to go long on this stint and then go short on the last one. I don't know how he's going to do this here.
We got Vern.
Coming to pit road.
Yeah.
If you look at the description, you will see the standings, or not standings, the schedule.
We got some fun coming up here. Chicagoland is going to be kind of a 1.5 mile version of this. You got Richmond at night, so expect fireworks.
Oh, Vern Hawkins slides through his box. Just really hot, worn tires, trying to bring that car to a complete fast stop, and he's trying to line it up and still having trouble. Now he's lined it up. Now that's going to cost him big time.
Yes, it is. At least he didn't hit the kill switch, Gary.
And I don't know what's going on in pit road right now. I don't even know if he got tires. Did he get it? I don't even see him go up on the jacks.
Sometimes these cars can be hard to discern whether they go up or not. Let me go back and I'll go back and by Jove, let's see.
I don't see it raised at all. I'm watching on replay right now.
I'm going to get in the car and see. So he overshoots it. He slid. He locked up the rears, slid it. He did not get tires. That car did not go up on the jacks.
Interesting. Well, the leader is Lionel Callisto, then Drew Trader, Chris Reagan, Mike Rigney, and a nice recovery here by the watchman Mark Cohn up the 5th. He'll very quickly be part of that lead 4, and following Cohn right through is Matt Wagner, the stock car driver.
Yes, the stock car driver. If there was a sarcasm sign, we should get one. A race for a sarcasm sign. But go back to the schedule. So Richmond fireworks, May 27th at Talladega. That's going to be your wild card. Dover, New Hampshire, Atlanta. Atlanta would be another wild card. We're going to go to Kansas, then Bristol, which we've noted as Bristol Baby with an exclamation point. So I don't know if there will be virtual fisticuffs, but maybe. Michigan, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Nashville, and we'll end it up with everybody running the high line at Homestead on July 29th. So we've got,
18 rounds? 14 rounds? 18 rounds? So, yeah, you got plenty of time there, Joe. Plenty of time.
Yeah.
Trader and Cohn on pit road.
Pick out somebody to have some revenge on at Richmond and Bristol. Sneak through the wreck at Talladega. You'll be in good shape, baby.
Oh, this should be their final stop.
It should be.
They're on 29. No, I think they're going to have to stop again because they've gone 29 on this one. And Trader, excuse me.
Unless you can stretch the fuel to 40, but the most anybody's done is 33 laps.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate that these guys are going to be short of gas, and if they're not short of gas, they're going to be screaming for tires if you try to run at 40. But I think the most anybody's done is 33.
Well, I'm wondering if that's was Hawkins' strategy, is just come in this time, stay on the tires a little bit longer, not get tires and have them for that last stint where everyone else is going to have double stinted tires, I think. Matt Wagner on pit road.
And that could be. And so let's see what Mr. Wagner does, the stock car driver, as he bowls it down.
That's going to stick, Matt. I'm sorry, man. He will now be introduced in the Dark Horse DW12 series as stock car driver Matt Wagner.
Matt Wagner. That's right. Pulls it on a pit road. He's going to hit pit stall number 4. His car did not go.
His car went up on jacks there, so
it did go up. So he's taking him. But yeah, not a bad thought, I don't guess. Not a bad thought from Vern Hawkins.
Rigney, the leader.
If you're going to double stun him now.
Rick D, P2 now. Bradley Sexton, P3. Sam Crow, P4. Pit stops are happening. Michael Goodman, P5. Lionel Callisto rejoins. Actually, no, he's on pit road. So he is doing his possibly last stop. We'll see.
The old
There
Sam Crow.
is Chris Reagan.
Yeah, the old Sam Crow doing battle with Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Of course, Hayes a couple laps down, but Crow solidly in 4th. Rick Fallis, I think, has been to the backs of the front of this thing as Mike Rigney pulls it onto pit road.
Yeah, Fallis is back up to the front. Fallis, I was one of the guys that stayed out the longest in the stint 1. He was out 32 laps, right there with Wagner, although Wagner's already, I think, stopped. Yeah, he's on his first lap, so he stopped a little bit earlier than he did in his first stint.
Yep.
Sam Crow is not stopped yet. Neither is Michael Goodman. John Von Voorellis there in the Dolphins car. He has not.
Sam Crow going to blink. He's pulling on the pit road.
Chris
Fallis.
I think Chris Reagan is going to be our leader when these all cycle through, I think.
I think I'm going to have to go ahead and bill you right. Fallis and Goodman are still out.
Hearn is out. Hearn is either blinked out or retired, unfortunately, in the 4D car.
It is unfortunate.
I'll give Say Hayes an opportunity to get a spot, as well as Jimbo's there. Jimbo could get an opportunity to get a spot there. Crow on pit road. So another car coming off of pit road there. So hand over to Goodman, coming to pit road right now. Rick D coming to pit road right now. And this will turn the lead over to Chris Reagan. He was only in the box for 5.7 seconds for his stop.
Yeah, so some good tire strategy playing out here. Don't you love it? Rick D just really slow down pit road. He might have run that car out of fuel, and he is disconnected.
No, he had a tow, I think. He's back in his pit. Yeah.
Yeah, so he might have run that thing out of gas.
Here comes Cone. So last lap for Reagan was a 41.7 with Cone doing a 40.5 and blows his doors off at the end of the backstretch, sending Cone to the lead. So I wonder what Reagan did. Did he just add enough fuel to get to the end and that's it, or what? I don't know if they did it. He chose not to change tires. There's no way that he did a 5.7 second stop in iRacing and got full fuel and 4 tires. I don't even think he got 2 tires in 5.7 seconds.
No, that's a fuel only stop at that short. By the way, Rick D has disconnected. He did run that car out of fuel, by the way. He did run that car completely out of fuel. We've got Jimbo Pfeffer on the pit lane now.
Pfeiffer, Jimbo Pfeiffer there. So still doing we're still doing a good job butchering these last names. I believe Rick's last name is Fallis. I don't think he wants to be a phallus. I'm sure he's been called that before. But I also like calling him Rick D because it kind of reminds me of the old DJ from the 80s, Rick D in the Weekly Top 40.
There you go.
But it was Rick D's. But, Rick D in the Weekly Top 40 anyways.
Better than Paul Harvey, I guess.
Showing my age, yeah.
Now the rest of the story. Mark the Watchman.
Cone second.
Mark the Watchman in the lead. Yeah.
Cone the first. Wagner second. Sorry. And Chris Reagan third now with, I'm assuming fuel only, so he's just getting past right now.
And so this makes for an interesting dynamic, and I wouldn't have thought it, but it almost makes it kind of, I don't want to say sadistic, but it's kind of mean, right? Make the race one stint longer than the available tires. I don't know that I've ever seen such, Gary.
Well, I mean, when we had the truck series here, the truck series was 10 laps less, and I think it had the same rule because I didn't have to update my notes any from the truck series. So it might be something that they want to investigate going forward, is if they're going to be 75% fuel to maybe give them one more sets of tire.
No, I like it, and I'm
but
it
does. But yeah, this isn't the first time I've seen a league do this, though. You're right, and I kind of like it too. But when you're in the car, there at some point you're going to have to stop and go: do I take tires or take fuel? Can I go on that last stint with a really worn set of tires? And I think a lot of people want to finish hard, and that means with the freshest set of tires possible.
I was going to say, if I had thought this through, I would have doubled the first. I would have doubled the first one and hedged my bets.
Well, Drew Trader is now on the verge of going a lap down. Our pole sitter and part-time leader here in the first half of this race is a verge of going a lap down here to Mark Cohn. Of course, Mark's probably streaming right now at home, and if he uses any of this audio playback for his stream, we want to say hi to all the people watching. Make sure you do all the right things for his channel that you should do for us. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on his next race.
For color commentary.
And here comes Mark Cohn to pit road.
So for color commentary in that channel, he's got Matt Wagner with him. Those two are staples in the Discord. I was with them.
Reagan getting squirrely coming on the pit road.
No.
He got it straight. I don't think he hit anything. I don't think he has a penalty. We just got the long shot right now. You're watching Cohn hit his pit stall.
He does not have the penalty. Vern Hawkins does have a black flag, and he is parked on pit road. Nobody else with a black. Just double check that. Everybody is going to come and hit pit road, and they are all going to take their tires.
Might as well. These last 25. Coming up to 25 laps here shortly are going to be very, very fast. Callisto now is your leader as he gets around these two coming off of pit road. Rigney P2. Wagner coming to pit road right now.
And that's going to be everybody. So Callisto and Rigney are the only two left that have not made their final stops. I don't know that Wagner took tires either. Down and away from Mr. Wagner. I guess if you don't have the tires, the strategy would be to make your stop as short as possible. I haven't driven these cars enough, Gary, to know what the handling is like. But in a fixed race such as this, one of the only ways that you can adjust the handling on your machine is the weight of the fuel.
Yeah.
And you talk about it in the IndyCar stuff all the time, right? You hear guys burning fuel under caution and so on and so forth. I wonder if that's a strategy from the stock car driver Matt Wagner, to have a full tank, now, if that's going to be better on the tires, or if somebody like Callisto or Rigney, if they want it light at the end. Generally speaking, the lighter the fuel load, the more free you are, generally.
Yeah, a lot less sloshing around back in the tank, although there's really not a lot of sloshing around the tank the way they have them built. There's Callisto and Rigney. Callisto halfway down the back stretch. Rigney 3.8 seconds behind. Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching Race First coverage of round 1 of the ISRA Xfinity Series, coming to you from Fontana, where Lionel Callisto, the champion of the Truck Series, leads here in the late stages. Now coming to 25 to go in the last quarter of this race. So if you're just joining, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. Also, don't forget your commentary team by sending a donation via our GoFundMe campaign. Link is in the description. We certainly would appreciate it.
I can also appreciate Callisto and Rigney doing what they're doing because they're not falling off nearly as much as some of the other guys here. They're consistently running around in the high 40s. Everybody else out there is at least 2 or 3 clicks slower. And give a call out and a shout out and a call down to give a call out to Hugo Gallas. My hat's off to him from 15th on the grid
up 10 spots.
5th. Up 10 spots to 5th. Heck of a run for Hugo Gallas.
He is 12 laps into his current stint. He stopped last on lap 64. He had a full stop then, so I would expect his last stop will be a very quick one, just getting him out to the end. But I believe he's going to have to stop one more time. So the week ahead here on Race First, just so we can get this out of the way, we have, of course, tonight we are here with the ISRA at Xfinity. Tomorrow night, our signature broadcast. And it'll be round 2 of the Race First Triple Crown for the IndyCar Oval Series. We'll see if Robert Malechka can continue his campaign for the Triple Crown. He won the first race at Michigan, so Pocono is the next race in the crown. See if he can do that. That's tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. That's the IndyCar Oval Series top split. And then we move to Thursday, where you will be on the track. I will be in the booth for the on ERN. And for the ERL, for their Indy 500 quals. That will be about 8 o'clock p.m. on Thursday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern. And if Mark is in the Fast 6 or Fast 9 or whatever, I think it's the Fast 9, we'll get to see you go for the pole. And then this Friday, the 3rd, at 3 p.m., the VOR DW12 cars are going to be at Daytona. And we will call that action. And then moving on to Friday, we'll stick with VOR, and I will be broadcasting or doing commentary, with the guys from FTN as they will broadcast the VOR IR18 race also from Daytona. And we're talking the oval. We're not talking the road course or anything like that. We're talking the oval. So it's going to be drafting craziness in Indy cars on Friday and Saturday here on Race First, or at least I'll be broadcasting if you want to follow along. So that is the week ahead here on Race First.
You are much safer in the booth in the IndyCar race at Daytona than you are on the track with me. I can guarantee you that. By the way, my goal on Thursday is to qualify 10th. So the inside of row 4 is my preferred spot, and I've done that 3 times now in that race. And the reason is I don't want to have to go back out. Right? I want to be able to pull the car in the garage, pop the top, and be done with it. The qualifying for that race, as it is with open wheels, as it is with the iRacing 500, and some of these other brand name races, is really stressful. The Indy Elite Series, they spread it over. It's 5 days of 5-hour sessions. It is incredibly stressful, and so. I cannot underline enough just how glad I'll be when that's over and we can focus on the race. Because I'm not a good qualifier anyway. And so it stresses me out. We're going to see Mike Rigney pull it onto pit lane here.
Coming down the pit road for this will be his final stop. So the schedule as I have it, unless it changes, I will be going on the air with ERN, so check them out, Elite Racing Network. Just Google them up or search them in YouTube here. You'll find their channel. The last hour of round 1 and the entirety of the bumping round, and then the Elite Fast 9 is what we will cover on the broadcast. So that should be pretty exciting. And the entry list, taking a look at it real quick. There are
4-second stop for Rigney.
Very good. That's a splash and go. They splash and go. We got them on the camera. We were watching the entire time. 63 drivers have registered. That will be partaking in qualifications, and if they have to cancel, there's a waiting list that has another 3 people on it. I would suspect there'll probably be more people adding to the waiting list here in the coming days, but 63 people plus 3 more on the waiting list. That's Indy 500 quals from the 50s. That's how many entries they would have back in the day.
And what's insane about
Lionel Callisto on pit road. He's down. He's out of what? He's out of on pit road and out of his stall. Boy, he had a big time acceleration out there. You watch his nose jump.
And that's the little details. You just talked about how Lionel Callisto jumped out of his pit stall. That's the little itty bitty details that guys who are really familiar with these cars or any car pay attention to.
Sexton kissing the turn 4 wall as he's trying to run down Crow. This is your battle for the lead right here at the moment. The pit report for Wagner, he was in the box 6.2, Callisto 6.6, and Rigney was in the box for 5, and Drew Trader was in the box for 5.8 as some of these final stops are happening.
We're seeing the lines get a little bit more aggressive now. So even though they're on old tires, these guys are starting to run the bottom down the tri-oval. They're starting to try to hold the bottom through the corners for the most part. We've got some guys up high, but for the most part, they're flat out full go now. 15 to go this time by, and it's time. The trophy and the money are up. We're seeing Lionel Callisto. He's going to go underneath the 54 machine.
Yeah, and let's look at these leaders real quick. Crow is 20 laps into his current stint. He went to his previous stint was 32 laps. So can he how far can he stretch this one out? I don't think he can stretch it all the way to the end. He's going to have to stop one more time, I think. Even Sexton drafting him is probably going to have to stop one more time. I think that the first truck that has a shot at all their right. Well, yeah. Let me throw the reverse quarter in on this one. The first car that has a shot here possibly is Wagner.
Yeah, I think Matty's good. Matt Wagner, the stock car driver, Matt Wagner, he's in good shape. Michael Goodman should be right on the line. Gallas,
Gallas is in the same. Crow, Sexton, and Gallas on the same strategy.
Yeah, they might. I think could be a lap or 2 short. Crow's got a lap on Sexton and Gallas, but I think they may come up a lap or 2 short. It's going to be real close for Michael Goodman. Not only that, but I think he might be running too hard, and he doesn't have anybody to draft with really either. Hugo
just turned a 41.6. Hugo did a 41.7. Bradley did a 41.8. Crow did a 41.4.
Yeah, they're running way too hard to really make it. They're hoping for a yellow, and won't that be fun if we get to see all these guys restart on double spinted tires?
And speaking of the yellows, again, if you're just joining us mid race and you're wondering what's going on, we haven't had a single caution. We had 18 cars start the race. Currently, 13 are still running. Jimbo Pfeiffer is the last car running. He is 2 laps down. Lewis Hayes and John Van Voorellis are in 11th and 12th. They are both 1 lap down. The top 10 are all on the lead lap. Right now, we're watching the lead battle right now between Crow and Sexton. These two will probably have to stop. Although Sexton is starting to fall a little far from Crow here. So Sexton might realize that he might try to lift a little bit early, do some coasting, try to make this happen. Let's ride along with him. Let's listen to the engine. Or maybe he just realizes that he needs to go as hard as he possibly can because he still has to stop. Let's listen. Off the throttle a very long time. Back in it. No, I don't think he's really saving much. I think he just realizes he needs to go.
Yeah, a lot of that's tires. You're waiting an awful long time in these cars, even with new tires, to get back to the gas. And I think a lot of that's just a lack of grip. These guys have been out there an awful long time.
And there's a battle for position a little bit further back. Cone around Trader for 7th.
But they've been out there for an awful long time on these tires, so just no purchase to be found on the rough Fontana surface for these guys. As we close down on the end of this race, 10 to go here. Winner Sam Crow, Bradley Sexton, and Hugo Gallas gonna blink and pull it down pit lane, and really they're only literally going to need a splash. Like, we're talking maybe a second or two of fuel, and when they come to get that second or two of fuel, it's gonna put Michael Goodman maybe in a chance to coast home, and then the stock car driver Matt Wagner is definitely licking his lips because he can sense it.
Yeah, he and Callisto 41.6s last time by. Everyone ahead of him 41.7. Sexton had a 42.6. Gallus a 41.8, and Goodman a 41.9. So they're catching them 0.3 a lap right now.
Now they're going to run out of laps, and if Crow and Sexton and Gallows are trying to make it, they'll know that they're going to run out of laps. But it does play with your mind a little bit. You got a guy behind you that's turning out, 3-4 tenths a lap quicker. Well, just a tenth that time. Better for Wagner and Callisto than our leader Sam Crow. But how much petrol does Sam Crow have in the tank? Because we saw Vern Hawkins run out of gas at 34.
Yeah.
So 35 is going to be a tall ask. 36, I don't know is possible. Callisto, by the way, is going to be all over the back of Matty Wagner here.
Here's a big battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th right here. Rigney, Trader, and Reagan fighting it out.
Yeah, they're back there going after it, hammer and tongue. But I think the race for the win is going to be between Wagner and Callisto here. Don't think 64, 65 is going to get you home. Goodman's going to be marginal. We'll see. Now, here's the other thing, Gary. So Goodman's got 6 seconds on Callisto and Wagner. So even if Goodman runs out,
here's Callisto passing Wagner on the front stretch.
That's right. Even if Goodman runs out coming off of turn 3, he's probably going to be able to coast home. Assuming he's got a clutch pedal. Hey, it's a valid point. Not all of these things have clutch pedals.
All right, so here we come. We're coming to 5 to go. And this is the great thing about when we were watching the Truck Series, and now it's kind of carrying over to the Xfinity Series. Since we don't do stage racing, no gimmicks here. We do have the green-white checker, though. And I do believe we have the lucky dog as well. But in terms of the gimmicky stage racing stuff, which I never really understood, these guys are driving these cars strategy-wise like they would an Indy car. And Hugo Gall is on pit road. So he's thrown in the towel. He is going to have gone as far as he can go. So Sam Crow is the leader. So still the leader. We'll see if he makes that turn down pit road. So we're seeing how these strategies pan out. If these guys were driving Indy cars, they're applying it here to the Xfinity cars in terms of how they're going to put their pit stops, lay their pit stop strategy out.
Yep. So Hugo can't make it. He pulls the tide right onto pit road. He's going to pull it off of pit road now. Meanwhile, Callisto has gotten past Wagner.
And he had a 5.9 second stop, so just enough for fuel. You're right.
Just how much longer can these guys make that fuel last? At this point, you're almost, I don't know if you're so much praying for a caution or you think you've got it saved.
Coming the 4 to go. Can Sam Crow do 8 more miles? We're riding with them. We hear a lot of coasting. Let's hear it. We'll get back on the in-car here and see if we can. Just last lap was a 41.7.
If he's coasting, he's not coasting a whole lot.
He has 32 laps on his current stint. His previous stint was 32 laps.
Now, because of the older tires, he's going to have a much longer coast phase anyway, since they're double.
And that's it. He's coming to pit road. He's coming to pit road.
Yeah, he's going to give it up. So Sam
and same thing for Sexton. Sexton throws in the towel. He has to hit pit road. So now, does this work into the hands of Michael Goodman as Callisto and Wagner are quickly trying to run him down? 3 to go.
He is way off the throttle.
Yeah, 42.4. Callisto a 41.7. Wagner a 41.8. He has himself a 3-second lead.
He is way off the gas, though, Gary. I mean, I don't even know if he's running that thing half throttle.
Well, let's listen. Nope. Pit road.
Nope.
Pit road.
He gave it the old college try, that's for sure. He was running that thing really, really, really light, but as suspected, couldn't quite make it. He gave it 33 laps.
And once again, the Truck Series champion puts himself in a position to win right at the end of the race. He does it every single time. Lionel Callisto now a lap and a half to go. And while some things changed, others have remained the same, and it appears that way with Lionel Callisto. Callisto, your leader, coming to the white flag.
All clear. He's got a second and a bit back to Matt Wagner. Mark the Watchman, a distant third, 5.6 seconds back. He's under a little bit of fire from Christopher Reagan. But Lionel Callisto, he's going to sail it off into turn 1. White flag lap. Just 2 more corners to go as he pulls it onto the back straight, Gary.
Yeah, he has plenty of room here. He can mess up an exit and still have plenty of momentum over Wagner right now, halfway down the backstretch, half a lap to go. And we will pick right up where we left off in the Truck Series Championship, right here in the Xfinity Series Championship, because your champion from the Truck Series is now the points leader. And a trivia question, who won the first ISRA Xfinity race? That's Lionel Callisto.
Matt Wagner going to come home second. Mark the Watchman rounds out your podium. Chris Reagan a fine fourth as they stream across the start-finish line. Mike Rigney, the host with the most, comes home fifth. You got to be careful calling these because some of these guys are still racing.
Yeah. And let's get try to get Callisto here on the replay so we could do the there we go. We got some replays queued up here so we could do the standings here. And drums, please. We hit the music. That's where I need a producer. There we go. Lionel Callisto, your winner. Yeah, up 13 spots. He was racing basically the entire time. Push. 3 stops, led 21 laps. Matty Wagner, the stock car driver, 3 stops, led 3 laps. Mark Cohn, he had a pretty good recovery himself. He was struggling there at the end of that, or midway through that first run. He did a 3-stopper as well, led 5 laps. Chris Reagan, 4th, up 13 spots himself as well. He gets a top 5. Rigney, the host with the most, led 5 laps, finished right where he started, and he was on the 3-stop strategy as well. Drew Trader is 6th, Sam Crow 7th, Hugo Gallas 8th, and Goodman 9th. Crow, Gallas, Goodman all tried to stretch that last run, and they just came up a couple laps short, but still getting a top 10. John Von Ellis, my overlay says that he did a 2-stopper. I don't know. We never really watched him, but that's pretty impressive if he did that.
It very much is, and that would make sense given 33 to 34 laps was what the maximum was. JV finishes a lap down in 10th, but good for him. Good for him in making that work.
And then we have Bradley Sexton, also was trying to make it stretch there. He finishes 11th. Jimbo Pfeiffer 12th. Say Hey, Lewis Hayes 13th. Vern Hawkins 14th. Rick D, Richie Hearn, Ron Hacker, and Pepto Joe round out the remainder of the field. 18 cars. Not a bad showing for the first race.
No, and a good race. I mean, I remain so very impressed with the quality of racing that these displaced IndyCar guys, most of them, put on in taxi cabs. They do a tremendous job. Caution free.
Yes.
For 200 miles at California tonight, and that's hard to do in anything, especially given Gary, that they were one set of tires short of being able to make the 3-stop work, and so awesome deal for them, and no surprise to see the top 3, Callisto, Wagner, and Mark the Watchman.
Well, let's get the interviews in here. Mark is standing by. We got his replay queued up. Our 3rd place finisher. And where'd he go? He took off. I was just getting ready to drag him up, and he disappeared on me.
He does that.
I know. Well, then let's bring up the stock car driver, Matt Wagner.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Can I drag him up now? Can I move to...
I got it.
Not allowing me to move, but there he is. The stock car driver here in the for the interview.
Hey, I was just trolling you all in the chat. You guys,
no. Now
am an IndyCar driver.
You have earned a nickname there, buddy, because trolls got trolled back, man. You will now be known as Matt, the stock car driver Wagner.
Oh my God, no, I'm not. Help me.
Well, talk about your race, man. It doesn't really seem to matter what you're in. Anything with 4 wheels, and if you get a good pit strategy, you're going to have it at the front, and that's exactly where you got there. Just didn't quite have the pace for Lionel, which he seems to always have that pace in the closing stages of these races when we're dealing with taxi cabs or trucks. But you a good finish and a great finish here to start off the season. I guess the downside is you continue to get beat by Lionel all the time. So I guess that's your target. I guess that's your target for the entire season is just beat Lionel and you'll get the championship. So you're off to a good start.
No, man. Seriously. Hats off to Lionel. He's a hell of a driver. He didn't get the I rating for nothing. Folks, he's got a 5.4K I rating. He used to do a bunch of NASCAR stuff on big boy circuits, but just to keep up with him, it's saying something. And you done something, But as far as the race strategy goes, So I decided to pit just a little bit earlier, just toward, where the fuel window was.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when I come off pit road, I don't lose it coming off. That's why I was kind of hoping that Lionel will come in very late and then lose it, like come really slow off pit road. And he didn't do that. And I burned off my tires and he caught me and I said, just take it. And he was so much faster than me. He was about like a tenth. I was watching the times. He was like one time we were even, then he's like a tenth faster, and then 2/10 faster, and then all right, let him go.
Well, good show from the stock car driver Matt Wagner tonight. I do have to ask, was there ever any consideration, since we were short a set of tires, to doing a two-stop, or could you not make that work? What were your thoughts on the 2 versus 3?
I feel like that would be a big waste of time on track. I feel like you were gonna leave like a lot of time on the track. But all said and done, if you would have clutched it, I tried it for a couple laps just to see. You're still gonna be short, no matter what. Even though I went, what did I do? 33 laps.
We had one driver. We had one driver pull off a two-stopper.
No
John,
way.
Yeah,
Who's
John
that?
JV.
Morales did it.
JV did.
No way.
Yeah.
JV.
Yeah.
Wow. And what place did he finish?
10th.
See,
There's a lap.
you see how much time he lost. That's
Right.
what I was afraid of, and the race pace just. I really think you'll fall off at least.
It'd have been a second a lap.
Yeah,
almost.
at least that's what I was thinking. At least a second a lap, but I really didn't expect for me to start in the pits because I forgot it was. So I went to go to the bathroom before I started to go in, and I come back and it's like, oh no. So I started in the pits.
We noticed
Hey,
that you
trust
started. We noticed you started from the pits, and you ran down. You had to run down on your own that pack. We noticed that. We were watching. I was wondering why you started from the pits, but I'm like, hey, these cars in turn one are awfully loose, and you're racing around a lot of people that you're not used to racing these cars. Maybe you were kind of expecting the big one to happen right there in turn one, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. But regardless of if you had to hit the restroom or not, you still had to started from the pits. You still had to run down that group, and you did.
Yeah, it was all about patience. As you know, these guys will push their car to the limit, the absolute limit. You saw what happened to leaders. Some of the leaders.
Yeah.
They fell back like a rock. That's what happens when you push your car too hard. Yep.
Comers and goers, and we know all about that. Well, the stock car driver, Matt Wagner, third today, or second today.
Second. I mean, second sucks, but first is better.
Well, it's not bad for a stock car driver.
I don't mind losing to Lionel because he's pretty damn good.
Well,
so,
we've discovered that. Yeah,
it drives. Saying this, it just drives me to get better, as you would say.
No, well, you're doing a fine job. So the stock car driver, Matt Wagner, second tonight. Any shout outs? Anybody you want to say hello to? Anybody you'd like to advise of the error of their ways? The floor is yours, sir.
Oh, boy. Well, a shout out to my boy, the Watchman. He actually had to go to work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he cannot come to his interview. I was going to chat with him all race long, and he had a little bit of adversity. Glad him to see it get a nice P3 out of it. Good job, him. And Lionel Callisto, good job there, buddy. I'm going to get you next time. So, shout out to all my TWR teammates over at the Discord there. James Watson, I hope you're watching. I know I gave him the link to the broadcast. So, shout out to all my fans over at Dark Horse and Area 51. Mark Murphy. Don't ever call me a stock car guy. You too, Gary. You guys know damn well I'm an IndyCar guy. So, I love you guys. You guys have got good commentary. So, y'all take it easy and have yourself a good night.
Take care, man. Congratulations. You might have to move them on out. I don't think I can move for some reason again. My rights have been tweaked.
That's okay. So that is the stock car driver, Matt Wagner, second today at Fontana. Let's go ahead and grab Lionel Callisto, tonight's winner. We got him.
And got you up here in the booth, Lionel. As we were saying at the end there, the more things change, the more things stay the same. You lead the Truck Series as the points leader and champion. Enter the Xfinity Series now as the points leader and first winner of the first race. Congratulations. Talk about it. You had to drive yourself from deep in the starting lineup.
Start at the back. Just try to take it easy in the beginning. Try not to burn up the tires. Try not to make mistakes in the pit road entrance or coming out. Just try to be smooth, not to overdrive the car. Lane 3 and turn 3, excuse me, worked for me. It was more settled down there. It feels like I was catching up with a lot of guys just taking that lane. But I was just trying to be smooth, not to burn up the tires, just not make mistakes.
Go ahead, Murph.
So something I've never seen tonight was a double stint on the Goodyears at Fontana. Something I don't think I'd ever voluntarily try. Talk about what that was like, trying to save the tires and really manage that, because it seemed like it was really easy to burn them off.
Yeah, it was the first time doing it too, honestly. I was just backing up in the corner, especially turn 1 and 2. But yeah, I'm just trying to take it easy, not try to overdrive the car. Because in the end, it was starting to tie it up a lot. I think I tapped the wall a couple times too. But yeah, just trying to pace myself with old tires.
Well, congratulations. If I could talk, congratulations on the win. Again, you did, I think you had the most wins in the Truck Series, and so you started off on a good foot here. What's Chicagoland look like for you? How good of a track is that for you? And after that, go ahead and do your shout-outs. Any friends, family, sponsors, loved ones you'd like to say hi to, go right ahead.
Chicago, I'm looking forward to it. I don't remember too much about it, but once I'm there, I'll remember the lines to take. But yeah, looking forward to the race. Thank you guys. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Mark. Race First, the league, ISRA. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, congratulations. We will see you as the points leader going in the round 2 at Chicagoland.
Thank you.
Go ahead and Murph drop him from the channel there, and we will get on out of here. There we go.
Absolutely.
So, final thoughts, sir. I thought it was a pretty good race. We had a pretty good showing. 18 cars. Hoping next week some people over the next week actually watch this in the ISRA and other Lionheart folks and say, hey, I want to give that a shot. Maybe we get 22 cars next week for Chicagoland. But what'd you think of the night, and what do you think of Chicagoland going forward?
You know, always I hope they do the one less tire set thing again, because that was so much fun to watch the differing thoughts on how to manage that situation. Really, really an amazing display of not just car control, but strategy and working through that. Chicagoland, I expect to be more like this race, just on a shorter track. We're going to see tires be at a premium. And again, I hope that Mike Rigney sets it so it's a 3-stint race with 2 sets of tires on football. I think that is a tremendous challenge and a lot of fun. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the open wheel world did have a loss today. Wally Dallenbach Sr., longtime chief steward of the kart series, 1973 California 500 winner, and but for a burned piston would have won the Indianapolis 500 in 1975, passed away today. So our thoughts and condolences go out to the Dallenbach family, a huge name in open wheel motorsports, and he will certainly be missed. But that's all I have, Gary. Another fun night, another fun show, and certainly look forward to next Monday night.
Well, good luck to you in qualifying for the ERL Indy 500 this coming Thursday. And that will do it for tonight. Once again, your podium here from Fontana, Lionel Callisto with the win, Matt Wagner, the stock car driver, P2, and Mark Cohn, the watchman, in P3. See, everyone's starting to get down nicknames. That's how it works. As we get to know you, you say something that you don't mean to say, and you become a stock car driver. So, join Racers again here next week for round 2 of the ISRA Xfinity Series as the teams and drivers head to the home of Joliet Jake and the Chicagoland Speedway. Coverage begins around 9:35 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's 9:35 p.m. Eastern. As always, for the correct time in your area, you can find everything you need right here at youtube.com/racefirst. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one to play. We do try playing it, so we need your help. So please help support RaceFirst with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of tonight's race. And I want to thank everybody that participated in the chat. Thank you very much. You make race days all much more fun when you do interact. And if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you smash like in the video. If you're new, I want you to click subscribe. We really would appreciate that. While you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you'll miss out on more of RaceFirst's other iRacing program, including tomorrow, our signature program. It'll be round 2 of the RaceFirst Triple Crown and the iRacing IndyCar Oval Series. Can Robert Malechka III continue the run, or does it start anew from next season? We'll see. Keep in mind, over the course of IndyCar history, only one driver has ever won the Triple Crown. Of course, this is sim racing. Things are a little bit different, but we'll see if Robert Malechka can get the second jewel taken care of. Keep your browser set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge of all our iRacing. RaceFirst, we know what it means. For business inquiries to learn more about what we do, visit racefirst.com, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter. And if I hit this button right here, all of our Twitter profiles will be at the bottom of your screen right there. There's me, there's RaceFirst, there's Mark. You can go ahead and add us. So for Mark Murphy, everyone will RaceFirst. I'm Gary Gotzo saying to all, good night. Thanks for watching. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here next week as we head to the Windy City for the next race of the ISRA Xfinity Series. Good night.